ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa and former Health Minister Dr. Aviwe Mtila will go head-to-head for the position of party president in the upcoming ANC elective conference. In pole position, Ramaphosa with over 2,000 nominations from the branches. Mkhize garnered a little over 900. The ANC's electoral committee announced the candidates just a little earlier this afternoon. Party, of course, is going to its national conference in Nasrec here in Gauteng next month. Our senior reporter Aviwe Mtila has been watching the story. He joins us now. So, Aviwe, it was really interesting because this is what the branches, these are the people the branches are saying we want to lead our party. Out of all the nominations for the top six, and there were at least two for each position, sometimes quite a lot more, only two women feature. No sign of Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma or Lindiwe Sisulu, both party stalwarts. Was there a fair amount of surprise about that?
Well, that stuck out like a sore thumb, Sally. It says a lot about the ANC in itself. Out of the 16 candidates that have been nominated by the branches, only two of them are women. And it's only for the position of DSG, which was obviously previously held by the late Jesse Duarte. It says a lot even about the Women's League, given that they didn't put their hands up for one of their own, saying that we have faith in the top six structure, we want one of ours. Also, the ANC Youth League sort of gave the names of the old guard rather than saying that one of us can take charge and lead when they talk about that generational mix that they want. But the ANC and the party itself will tell you that it is for women empowerment. It will tell you that in the coming names that will be mentioned over the coming week, 200 expected to fill the parts of the 80, which is the highest decision-making body, the NEC, in between conferences. They say 50% of that, according to their constitution, has to be women. But they say that they've gone through a vigorous vetting process heading to the elective conference and heading to the names that we saw today being mentioned. Among others, the step-aside resolution trying to paint out how they came about that. Criminal records, serious crimes that span more than 6 months are some of what they've had to check and balance the electoral committee. In fact, I had a word with the secretary of the electoral committee, Chief Mtila. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
There are three main categories of those who may not be allowed to stand for the positions, either be officials or additional 80. Those who have been charged or found guilty of serious crimes. By a serious crime, we mean any crime that could result in a prison sentence of more than 6 months. And the charge is really a charge in the court of law. And that excludes charges that are only still at the level of police stations. Then there are also comrades who have been found guilty by the disciplinary committee of the African National Congress for various misconduct, or maybe they've had their membership suspended in the last 10 years. Also those comrades, even if they are appealing, those decisions will not be allowed to stand. And finally, is those that are temporarily suspended pending the outcome of a criminal case or a disciplinary hearing.
Okay, so those are the people who wouldn't have made the cut because of being charged, which explains why Aviwe Mkhize is there, because despite the Digital Vibe scandal and ongoing investigations, there are no charges that have been laid against him. So he's going head-to-head with President Cyril Ramaphosa. Also perhaps explains why Jacob Zuma doesn't feature. There was some talk that he might want to put his hand up for chair, but of course he's facing corruption charges.
Certainly the case, and we do understand, for example, the likes of your Ace Makashule, why they can't stand, suspended Secretary General of the ANC, and a lot of others that have been excluded by the step-aside resolution. Some of what the Electoral Committee is saying that it's doing those checks and balance. They've come in place from the last year, 2021, in June, where they set out to clean the ANC, sort of saying that they don't want the slate politics.
Yeah. Sorry, just to interrupt on the slate politics, just to understand it. This is the first time we haven't seen slates. And slates, am I right, it's basically you get a running team together of your top six team, and you go on that. So you don't just vote for one individual, you'll say, no, this is the group I want to run the ANC. So that's the first time we're not really seeing slate politics, as it were. I want to ask you, though, we've spoken about corruption charges, but there have always been these allegations about vote buying that occurs at the conference itself. If you look at the figures today, it's quite clear to figure out who should be the president of the ANC. Clearly, for example, Cyril Ramaphosa got more than double nominations from the branches than Dr. Aviwe Mkhize. But talk to me about What can change at next month's conference and the concerns about vote buying?
Well, it's what the Electoral Committee is saying they're doing differently to ensure that the party upholds the values that they're supposed to be upholding in the first place. No buying of votes. And they're saying that they're doing this, for example, by issues of the financial disclosures, where we do know the top 16 candidates have already disclosed their financial statuses and have already said how they're going to go about campaigning, ensuring that there is no vote buying. While you're allowed to campaign and hold your various campaigns ahead of the conference, none of that will be allowed on the conference. You're not allowed, for example, to host the people that you want to vote for you. You're not allowed, because you do understand the process of the ANC. For example, one of the branches, if you're representing a branch, we have to pay 1,800 Rand registration fee. And according to your ranking in the ANC, for example, if you're a minister, it goes up to, I think, some 10,000 Rand. So ordinarily, what we've seen happen in the past is that that would be coughed out by the campaigner itself. Now they're saying that they'll be doing those checks and balances to make sure that the individuals themselves pay the monies, the individuals themselves host themselves at various hotels, not what we've seen traditionally where they're all quarantined as one and head to Nasrec, for example, all as one, where they'd be expected to vote for that particular individual. Some of what they're saying that they're doing differently ahead of the elective conference, which we do know kicks off on the 16th of December in Nasrec.
All right, let's just take a listen to Chief Mtila.
When we come to conference, no candidate is allowed to transport delegates, feed them or accommodate them or pay for any expenses when they come to Nasrec. That will be a breach of the rules, which then could lead to people being disqualified, because that will be tantamount to trying to manipulate the outcome of the electoral process in December.
Oh, it certainly seems like they're taking steps to avoid any corruption happening at the conference. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out come the middle of December. Thank you very much for that update, eNCA reporter Aviwe Mtila.